to my partners in crime, Lee Ivy, who's a professor here. I'll let him tell about himself, and Dallas Bresman, who just graduated with her MHS and was a critical part of this process. And we're going to hear a lot more from her when we get ready to hear about how to order plants and select plants and interact with nurseries. But I'm going to turn it over to Lee to let him tell about himself.
Hey y'all, this is Lee Ivy. I've been in this department for about 8 years now. I teach mainly on the landscape ornamental side of things, but I got a chance to partner with Julie and Dallas last fall for this garden. It's really kind of a neat partnership because Julie does the design, Dallas does the design and acquiring materials, and I was part of the building process. So we've kind of worked together to develop this garden, and super proud of it. It's really starting to come together.
Dallas, you want to tell a little bit about yourself?
Hi everybody, I know some of you, so hello again. But I'm Dallas Bresman. I actually have a background in landscape construction. I worked here at NC State for 7 years before coming and getting my master's here in the horticulture department. So I'm pretty well versed in plant procurement, planting design, and everything that comes with it. So this garden was a real labor of love for me, working with my old co-workers, working with Julie and Lee, working with the class to come and get this to be a cohesive project. I'm excited to be here.
So that's right, Dallas was really that glue that connected us really well with the facilities people. But what was really awesome about this experience is that these two people, I mean, we've been to Louisville, Kentucky, 9-hour drive there and back, and we literally laughed the whole way. And we just sort of cemented in our personalities and our passion for plants and landscape and our respect for the profession and our different perspectives coming together was awesome. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to be really great at working in teams. So what we're going to do today, it just so happens that some of the every plant here was donated, and it's a representation of our department. The design build class actually built it, which is the one we've been talking about. But yesterday we picked up some plants that were donated by Mellow Marsh Farm, and already Lee's gotten way ahead of us with the help of Walker, my son, our cinematographer, to go ahead and put them in. So you're going to see us working in the garden a little bit behind the scenes. But come on with us and we're going to take a little walk through the garden, describe the design a little bit, and then we'll turn it over to Dallas so you can hear about all those details and knowledge about plant procurement. We're going to start right here in this little rain garden cell. This path originally had some steps and you can see the drain down here in the middle of this rain garden cell right here. This drain, there's two more above, and it was just lawn here, and that was Liriape spicata. That's like a bad word. It was really embarrassing, but we lowered the low point and created this rain garden and used plant material like this acorus to come up and look like almost like a painting, right? We took this swath of gold that went through. We protected our drain with these irises, and then we used the juncus to sort of describe the wetness, the low point in this area. Every plant around here, we've got Asclepia, we've got the Baptisia, we've got the curly juncus. All these are wetland plants. So you'll see them on both sides, and we repeated the language again, and you can see how the juncus goes around, across, and down to the third rain garden. So it's 3 rain gardens. Each kind of have their own character, but there's plants that are tying them all together. So we wanted to have a nice green entrance. We got rid of these steps. So come on, Dallas, let's show them the rest of this. We wanted to keep it very sustainable and really create a big infiltration field. So not only did we remove that horrible planting that was here, we really worked the soil. And where we were talking about where there was clay, we amended it. We used the compost. Dallas, what is the compost that university?
Yeah, we use compost from the new university compost site that uses waste from all of the grounds. It uses food from the dining halls and other things, mixes it together. So we were sort of their pilot project, and we've mixed that in. So it's sort of like a 50-50 amendment at this point, like 50% like soil, 50% compost, and mulch fiber and things. So that's what we used in here, which created a really good planting mix and very absorbent.
Yes, and Lee brought over a monster tiller. We tilled, we amended, and basically we have lost one plant in the whole project so far. That's pretty cool. So we used a crushed gravel in the past system. Notice the stones to kind of keep it tidy at the edge. We used some sedges. Again, we want that language of native plants, and it's really important to keep those entrances nice and evergreen. This garden has supported a lot of classes. The curly juncus came from one of our student class that does a greenhouse production class. And then the little cosmos and these pitiful little poppies, which are going to get nicer with some heat, came from the cut flower class. We started those from seed and used them in teaching cut flowers in the seed to vase section of that class. These giant elephant ear, the Thailand, y'all help me out, what's the genus? Thailand giant. Calicacia, thank you. And we've planted them. Again, they were planted by the annuals class, and they're planted around, come on and see this beautiful circle. We took this idea, and you can barely see it in the rain gardens, but you see this Fibonacci sacred geometry. It starts in the middle, and we literally drew this and created a little template with paper, so we know that the math is just right, and it comes around and then it turns into this bench. Now I want you to come here and you'll realize why we chose this site for the bench. Come on around and have a seat and turn around and look that way. If you sit right here and look across, we have a beautiful long view of the Kilgore Hall Gardens. And in these gardens, we have a collection of really interesting plants to show off. And the idea for me, the main focal point is this dwarf loblolly. I think if any plant represents the horticultural science department, it's that dwarf loblolly. J.C. Ralston put them in the arboretum, and then they were placed here in front of Kilgore. So we combined environmental issues like stormwater, and we had another focus, which was pollinators and gathering spaces, so the social cultural part. And these are the types of things you want to think about with every project. So in this area, we have where classes can come out, and I think Dallas, your class of graduates took their picture here. Yeah, that was so cool. And then I have already seen even community members come out here and use this space to have lunch or whatever. So we wanted to have intimate space, and then a classroom could come out here. So let's walk under the Aesculus. This is the only tree we left, and it's a red blooming buckeye. And I saw a graduate taking their picture under it when it was in full bloom, which was really cool. Before we go down there, we can't miss pointing this out. So this is Denny Warner's Ruby Falls Redbud. Denny Warner is a professor in our department who's been a plant breeder for, 40 years or so. We are showcasing in this garden 5 of his trees. This is one of them. And this tree aligns beautifully with the path that comes up the hill. So when you come up that path, what you see is this beautiful red tree. And that's what I was talking about, tying in your design and putting plant material in places that matter, that really make a statement. So the colocasia you see coming around with some irises that were actually here on the site. So let's come in from the sun. Now we go into the shade. So we're under the buckeye tree, and in here is the third rain garden. Again, they all have this curl with the stone, with the cobblestone, and then the same ogon. And then you see some little plants that aren't in yet. We're gonna enhance with some more plants. That happens to be the swamp sunflower, so that's gonna pop up with yellow flowers in the fall. It's gonna be gorgeous. This requires a lot of weeding. Back on this side, we've got our pollinator, butterfly bushes from Denny Warner. These evergreen dwarf Yopon hollies were also donated, and you can kind of see them around. They were required by the university. And on the corner there, you guys, do you see this beautiful flamethrower redbud? That's another one of Denny Warner's plants. So this is really showing off what this department can do and what we're about. All right, let's go up this side, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Dallas. This is from the cut flower plant class. These are cut flowers for that class, and then we're hoping that we attract pollinators here with the little bee nests and really create that habitat. We're planting Asclepia right here, which is the butterfly weed, or not weed, butterfly weed, Asclepia. And then more cut flowers from the cut flower plant, some snapdragons. Again, they came from seed. We're interplanting that with some Asclepia because those will go away, and then we'll have the Asclepia coming behind. So you see it's this careful balance between evergreen edges and flowering perennials. So here the curly juncus will come up, and our goal is to plant dwarf mondo grass, like you saw maybe at the entrance, to give a little green blanket all around. Well, now for the star of the show, I'm going to turn it over to Dallas. Dallas, I don't know, would you like to stand closer to the plant material, or where would you like to go with the class? Or is this a good spot?
This is good, I think.
Yeah, because they can see what's going on behind you.
Back here.
Yeah. So if we can kind of look over, you can maybe get a view of all the plants that are in the garden. All right, Miss Dallas, tell us about how we got this in particular, but then I want you to do your thing and talk about your expertise.
Well, I was lucky enough in my old position to make many connections with MC nurserymen and the green industry around the state. So as we were planning this garden out, I was able to reach out to some nurseries that I'd worked with in the past, because I had also worked on projects with plant donations. So I kind of knew who was willing, who had plants, sort of what they had. And we just started sending requests out just to say, hey, would you be willing, would you be willing, would you be willing? And you wouldn't believe the amount of people who were coming forward to say, we want to donate, we want to donate. It's our really good reputation here in the horticulture department, and a chance, most of them have had graduates in their own family, or they are graduates of this department. And so we're really connected with the nurserymen, and we were able to secure not only the plants that we installed in the fall, but plants for the spring that we're planting now, and we will have more plants coming this fall as well. And hopefully, you know, we can tag a few more nurseries to come in as we move along with this garden and it grows, to fill in some of the spots that we need to. So that's how we sort of did that. And I worked with some students to call these places to secure the deliveries, and also it's sort of a win-win for the nurseries. They get their plants out here, but they also get a tax break for donations. So we worked with the folks in the office. It's like the gifts office for NC
Right.
State to sort of help these folks get their proper materials in. Their donations.
Sort of like a recognition.
Which is great.
So Dallas, do we want to talk about or maybe share those documents that kind of give an outline?
Of course. Yeah, there's, so I've got a few documents that we were working from, but yeah, in the one document, it's set up of how I sent out to people, and what I said, like the criteria. So the plant type, both Latin and common names, the plant counts, some sizes we were hoping to get, and I sent that out to many different universities, but that's a template that you can use moving forward with your own designs and your own plant lists to send it out as like a blanket email and start getting some responses back.
Yeah, it's the likelihood that you'll do, nonprofit donated projects. You'll do a few, but we want to address what to do when you order plants or you choose plants for when you're doing a regular project that's not a donation. And that has a different sort of approach. And Dallas has really gotten to know nurseries and is very connected and loved amongst that industry. But maybe Dallas, you could tell a little bit about sort of the professional process from deciding what plants, putting them on the plant, and then actually getting them in the ground and not asking for stuff that doesn't exist.
That's right. Yeah. So in my time here, like I'm just not born with this knowledge, right? So when I came out of
Sure
school,
you are.
yes, I already knew it all. It's just here. But yeah, so when I came out of school and I got this job with Landscape Construction Services, I got thrown in the deep end. We need this and this and this and this. And any of you who know my boss, and some of you may know him, my old boss, Rick Kilgore, and you'll get to know him. He is very much that way. And so I kind of had to get out and figure things out for myself. And I had to figure out what nurseries were out there, places to look for them, and what to do. And so what I went for me was to look at the North Carolina Nursery and Landscape Association, where most states have a Nursery and Landscape Association. And this is a really good place to start to figure out what nurseries are local. Just do some general poking around to see wholesale nurseries. I know some people think Lowe's and Home Depot is okay, and that's fine if you're a homeowner, but it does not fly if you are working on projects and it's a professional nature. You need to go to a wholesale nursery. So finding this out and calling and making connections with them, getting on their plant list, getting access to their availability list is the first step. And this way you can see what plants are available in your area. And from that, you can start to figure out what you can start to put into your designs. Because the last thing you want to do as a designer is to choose plants that no one is growing. No one has. They're experimental. They've only been on the market for a year. Maybe someone wrote about them in Southern Living or whatever. Then they're just not around. That is the best way to get your design changed on the fly. Do a little field adjustment, and your design now becomes someone else's. So it's good to do that background research to see what's out there. And then you can start to compile a good list of plants. But it's also good to figure out sizes. That's a really important thing. So not all of them are created equal. 3 gallon, 5 gallon, 7 gallon, they vary from nursery to nursery. And if you're not...
And I was just going to show Dallas.
Yes, that's a 4-inch
Right here is a
pot.
4-inch pot. So understanding the price and what this looks like when you put it in the ground, right? So it depends on what kind of project you're doing.
It's true. And when you put that little guy in the ground, you're going to see a little 4-inch stem with some leaves, and that's it. And so there are some really big discrepancies between your renderings of what you're showing someone and what you're putting in the ground. So just sort of keep that in mind. And even these small pots are going to be potted up into a quart, and the quart is going to be potted up into a 1 gallon. And so you've got to make sure that you're asking nurseries about when was this potted up, what is the root system like, and ultimately you need to see a picture or go there yourself.
Even better, go there. I can tell you, every time I go to a nursery, if the owner isn't there, who usually is ready to greet me and I make an appointment, there's someone who has expertise at the nursery who will walk around with me and say, you know, we like to dig these plants at this time of year, and so if you want to have this maple go in, we're not going to dig it in the summer. And so you've got to plan and understand that, and they're excited about teaching us and explaining to us what is the correct way and timing of your plantings. And that just comes with some practice, and I don't know any manual that tells you any of that.
No, you really have to learn it sort of the hard way or on your own, right? And it's really, nurseries are open to speaking to any designer. They love designers, because that's where they sort of get their ideas about what to grow. If you're a designer and you like a certain plant and it can grow here, and maybe you can only use it or find it in a nursery that is a native nursery, but it does really well, you can ask them if they can start growing it. You can call other nurseries, and a lot of the nurserymen are open to these ideas because they know you're creating plans, they have the plant you want, landscape contractors have to go and source the material, and they're going to get that hit and they're going to get the sale. So it's good, it's a good cycle. You just have to be connected with the nursery, and it's really good to have a few nurseries that you can go to and you can trust, and to actually be there and see their operation is huge. Because if you've never been to a nursery, I would encourage you to go and look for a few things like the weeds. That's huge.
How they manage weeds.
How they manage weeds, because you do not want a pot with your plant that's full of weeds. It's out competing. That's
and then the weeds come into your project, and you got to deal with them there.
And that's one of the biggest things is the weeds, right? The weed content of the soil, and you can look around and see if it's trashy or not with that. And also how they're running their business a little bit. You can see who's working, what they're doing, what they're growing. If they're doing things like at the proper time of year, because some nurseries don't care, they're just in it for the bottom line. You can see how they run their irrigation. Are they doing things the way they're supposed to be doing, or is things leaking all over the place? You know, you can make some general assumptions about their business and their sustainability, you know, efforts that they're making to provide you with nice plants and to also run an efficient nursery.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Dallas, and getting that personal relationship with the people who are going to provide your plants. You can even say, and a lot of times you do have clients that in 3 years, when this project we're developing, it's a major like roadway project or a big development or a like Meadowmont Village, we were able to tag trees 2 and 3 years before they were actually planted. And you go to the nursery and you say, I'm going to need 5 of these and 2 of those, and you put your firm's name on them, and they hold those trees and grow those trees for you specifically. Or if you say, I need trees grown where there's very few roots on one side and the roots are all on the other side, and the nursery will prune those roots and have that tree ready for you, so you can plant that tree right on the edge of whatever it is you're trying to do. And that gets it gets down to that fine tuning. And I'm going to talk a little bit, I got a resource for y'all to talk about what types of things you might require in specifications and specifying your trees. That's a whole other topic that I'll cover more in a handout that I'll share with you all. Dallas, do you have any closing remarks about?
Well, I do think that you should get out there wherever you are and figure out what the nurseries are. If you plan on practicing in that area, and if you can, take a trip to the nursery, tell them you're a landscape architecture student. They will invite you in. Even you can practice social distance, walk the nursery, get familiar with your plants now. And you're lucky to be having this class, because I've worked with a lot of designers in the past who don't really have a good understanding. And so I spent a lot of my time going through plant lists, marking things that are questionable or things that don't grow in this area very well, and having to do plant substitutions, which cost a lot of money. And there's some hidden cost in there. So if you do your due diligence up front, you're going to cost less money down the line for the contractor, whoever it is that's sourcing your plants, because you're already going to have them listed out to what they are, the sizes, the proper specifications. They're going to be able to get them, and your design is going to be installed the way you envisioned it, which is what you want at the end of the day.
Beautifully said, Dallas. That's exactly right. And I think we'll say thank you to Lee, who's been working back here the whole time. And thank you to Dallas, whose information and passion for this industry and plants is equal to none. And we'll see you next time. Bye.